Hey everyone, and welcome to week 2 in Bio 1000. This week we're going to be studying chemistry in general, a little bit about the chemistry of water, which is a really special molecule, really important for life, and then we'll take a look at the biological molecules. This content is all coming from chapter 2 in Concepts in Biology. Here's a direct link to that chapter. These are the learning objectives. So some about basic chemistry, understanding the structure of an atom, knowing the terms isotopes and ions and how they form, calculating atomic mass and mass numbers, and then also a little bit about bonding. So how atoms form bonds with each other to make molecules. Talk a little bit about the difference between covalent polar and nonpolar bonds. We'll talk about water, understand its structure and why it has such unique properties and what those properties are. Talk a little bit about pH, and then this last learning objective is about the biological molecules. Here's a big list of terms to know. Take a look at this list. If there are words on here that you don't know how to define, make a flashcard. These are the remaining 3 tabs have some videos. I know not everybody can read and comprehend things that they read from a science textbook perfectly. So these videos are meant to reinforce some of the specific concepts from the book. So this first tab is focused on atoms and their structure and how they build molecules. The second one is focused on the content about water. And then finally, there's one video here about each of the 4 classes of biological molecules. So hopefully that will help you get to know the structure and the function of the biological molecules. The next thing I want you to do is participate in our molecular form and function discussion. So we find in biology that often if we look at the structure of the molecule, there are some clues there about how it functions. And I think making this link between form and function is a great way to kind of make that connection, and it might help you learn both the structure and function of these molecules if you can relate them to each other. So there's some biological molecules on here. There's also some abiotic molecules like water. I want you to pick one of these molecules that I'm highlighting now. And what you're going to do is you're going to talk about which of the 4 classes of biological molecules it belongs to. That's going to work for everything except water on this list. You're going to describe the structure of the molecule you've selected. You're going to describe its function. And then the hardest part is going to be to explain how the structure relates to the function. So make sure you are using and citing high quality sources of information in your post. Your initial posts are going to be due by Wednesday, and then your follow-up responses to your peers are going to be due by Saturday. This week's lab is focused on the content of chapter 2 as well. So the first thing you're going to do is mess around with this PhET atom builder simulator. And this is really fun. So you get to add protons and build different molecules. So I just added a proton and it switched from helium over here in the hydrogen over here in the periodic table to helium because it's got an atomic number of 2. You can see here that now we've got a charged atom. I can get rid of that charge. If I add a couple of negatively charged electrons, I'm just going to drag and drop these electrons in that first electron shell of this atom. So you're going to get an opportunity to make some atoms. Where were we? Here we were. So you're going to get an opportunity to make some atoms following these instructions, and then you're going to answer these questions about what you're doing and what you learned from the simulation. This is a study table that I'm asking you to fill out as part of this lab. This is about the biological molecules. Mentioned it many times, but these study tables are definitely going to include content that you see on the essay questions in our exams. So you make sure that you fill this out, and as you carefully read the content in the textbook, here's the appropriate or the associated page numbers. Those videos that I showed you about the biological molecules will also help you fill this out. This will be a great study tool for our first unit quiz. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to take the data that you collected last week from your seedling germination experiment. Remember, we set the salinity level from 0 to 3.6, and then we looked at the percent of seeds that germinated. This tutorial is going to walk you through graphing your data. So you did this over, I think it was 6 days. You might want to just do it for the last day or for the last day before like seeds started to get moldy. And so you just need data from a single day on this graph that you make of percent germination. You were also measuring the growth of the seedlings. I would do that on the same day. Whatever day you used for the percent germination, go ahead and graph the average growth of the seedlings in the plastic bags on that day. So you are going to create two graphs, one of percent germination of those seeds and one of the average seedling growth. This is getting you ready for our first lab report, which is going to be on that week 1 lab. And that's going to include the graphs that you make this week. So we're kind of taking baby steps to make sure that everyone has what they need on that first lab report. So you're going to learn how to use Excel, and you're also going to make the graphs for your first lab report in the third part of this week's lab. Here's what you need to submit, and you can do that right here on this page. So the answers to those questions, a screenshot of your PhET simulation game results. There's a fun game on that simulator that I'm asking you to play and share your score. A screenshot from the Excel spreadsheet containing the two graphs that you made of your germination and seedling growth data, and then an image of your biological molecules study table. I want to point out here that I said or other original study tool containing the same information. I want to emphasize that these study tools are really for you. And if it would be better for you to make a little PowerPoint presentation or make a little video or just kind of organize that information in another way, I totally get it. I totally support you. It whatever works best for you, but I do want the information from the table in if you choose to do it in another format, make sure you include that information. There's also an opportunity in this class for an extra credit Canvas e-portfolio, and that should include this biological molecule study table. I'm thinking that could be a nice way for you to organize all of your study tools and earn a little bit of extra credit. Okay. Moving on in the module, the last things that we have here are a practice quiz. This is ungraded. There's no time limit. You can take it up to 4 times. This is a great way to check yourself and see, hey, what do I know about atoms and water and the biological molecules? And maybe if you're, consistently getting some questions wrong, go back to the material and study it, so that you increase your chances of success on the graded Chapter 2 quiz. So this is timed, and so everyone will get 15 minutes to complete this assessment. There's 10 questions here. They're worth 1 point each. This quiz is due Saturday at the end of the day. So are your follow-up posts in the form and function discussion. So are your labs. As always, please let me know if you have any questions, and have a great week.